It's been one hell of a week, hasn't it? Now, to set expectations, I promise you, I'm not going to get political on this episode. I think that's probably the last thing that any of us need right now, especially me. This episode is going to be about the philosophical and cultural lessons I learned from the gig I played this weekend. But those lessons were because of what happened, so I at least have to set it up. I gotta tell you, I was in a pretty dark mood all week long, thinking about how bad things are in my country right now. And to be honest, I haven't been very optimistic about the future of my country for many years. It keeps me up at night thinking about how much more difficult it's going to be for my son to achieve the American dream than it was for me. But even as pessimistic as I have been, this week's events brought into sharp relief just how divided we are. And unfortunately, I know that this isn't going to unite us. It's only going to get worse from here. But nobody cares about my mood. The show must go on. And I was booked for an annual end of the summer charity gig. So to the gig I went and the gig I played.
10,000 souls in your right hand. Never lost ground to no cold-blooded man. Child in a fragile land.
This event is organized by people who are a lot different than me, and it is attended by people who are a lot different than me. And it was awesome. And so now, instead of being depressed, I have a small glimmer of hope for humanity that I want to share with you all on episode 236 of Heavy Metal Philosophy. Welcome, metalheads. I'm the host of Heavy Metal Philosophy and writer for Metal Digest, Jon Barbas. Make sure you stick around to the end of the episode for this week's riff of the week. Now, before I get to the gig and the lessons I learned from it, I'm going to set up the background with some of my musical history. After posting a few pics from the show, I've had a few people ask me about my background, and I've never really wanted to talk about that on the show before. I want to focus on the now and the new and upcoming bands, and I never wanted to be that guy that peaked in college. I don't really like talking about my glory days. It feels ick. So at this point, I really need to pause and thank you all, because since my college years, I've had a lot of proud moments in my day job career, in my fitness journey, and I'm extraordinarily lucky to have the family I have. My wife and son make me proud in ways that I don't have time to enumerate for you here. But this show, Heavy Metal Philosophy, gives me something personal to work on and look forward to and not look back. So thank you all for being here. This thing has far exceeded my expectations. Anyway, back to the story. I spent all of my high school and college years in various bands, both original and cover bands, and none of them really went that far. None of them were special. I knew I had to move out of the small town I'm from so that I could meet other musicians and actually have places to play. So I moved to Georgia, and I eventually met Sarah King, who longtime subscribers will have seen on this podcast multiple times.
You have to stand in line.
Being in a band with her was the first time I'd been in a band with a real talented and powerful singer. Most bands have a singer that can hit the notes properly, but that's not the same as being talented and powerful. We both came to realize that the style of music we were doing wasn't really doing it. People were coming to see us because she's such an amazing singer and I can play fast and I act crazy on stage. It wasn't really because we were a great band. It was more the John and Sarah show. So we recruited a really great bass player named Austin, and a great drummer named JP. Now we had a true and proper rhythm section, a bass player who was an expert at playing bass, not just a guitar player who decided to pick up bass so that we could be in a band and they would have a gig. A bass player and a drummer that worked together to create a pocket. For the first time, we were an actual really good band. I had never had that before because I had always been in garage bands my whole life. Let me tell you, it was eye-opening. And after a little bit of time, because Austin is such a great bass player, he was recruited to another band called Soul, who was on a whole other level. Austin came to me once after rehearsal because he was torn. Because there were occasional schedule conflicts between the two bands. And Austin is a loyal dude, so he wanted to do right by us, but I could tell that he was more excited about the music that they were making in Soul. So I told him he should prioritize Soul because I thought he had a better chance of, quote, making it in that band. Well, it wasn't long after that Austin didn't have to feel torn anymore because Sarah decided to move to New York to continue to chase her dreams. So the band broke up, but longtime subscribers have seen that we're still great friends to this day. Sarah went on to have a very cool and award-winning career, and when she tours through the Southeast, a couple times I have been one of her hired guns. Anyway, fast forward a little bit of time, probably a year, maybe less, Austin calls me up. Soul wanted to add another guitar player to their power trio band because they had just recorded an album and they had done multi-tracked guitars, harmonies, stuff like that, and they wanted to be able to sound like that live. So they offered me the gig, and I gotta tell you, I was beyond stoked. Let me play you a little clip of some of that music.
So tell me what you're waiting for. No, I won't wait around. Here I lie. Here I lie. I'll fly away. I will take you where I know we don't belong. I'm not afraid. If our father crumble, I will be reborn.
Me and Austin were friends, so I of course had been following his exploits in Soul, and their new record blew me away. They were clearly a higher level than all the other local bands, and they also managed to capture that on their recording. Most local bands, when they do an album, it sounds like a local band doing an album, but this record, it sounded like it could be on Sirius XM today. And they were rightfully getting attention. I gotta tell you, it was pretty incredible to join a band that already had things going on. When I joined, they already had a manager, a killer album, real promotion, not just posting on social media, big things coming soon, and they were playing gigs that I had been dreaming of playing. My very first gig with the band was Heaven Stage at the Masquerade in Atlanta. And in that footage there, OGs of Atlanta will recognize that that was the original Masquerade. This was a venue that I had driven multiple hours to many times to see bands like Black Label Society, Queens of the Stone Age, and the Black Dahlia Murder. And now my very first gig with this band, I'm about to play the same stage that those bands played on. And we were selling tickets. I call that the third level. The first level is when you're playing and people outside of your friend group actually come to your gigs, when strangers come to see you. The third level is when you can sell tickets in another town. If you can't make it to the second or third level, your band is never going to make it. But it wasn't just the success of Soul that I was excited to be a part of. In the rehearsal space, I could tell pretty much right away that I was the least talented dude in the band, which I had never experienced before. And that really excited me. I was faster than the other guitar player, maybe knew more scales, but he was clearly more creative than me. He was a genius at writing choruses. Every time me and Austin would bring a riff in, he would pump out a banger chorus. So it wasn't just that I was playing bigger gigs with this band or that I got hotel rooms when we toured. No, I was excited because I was in a band full of artists, real killers, and they thought that I was good enough to add to what they were already doing. And I viewed it as an opportunity to grow as an artist myself, to become a better bandmate, as well as getting the cool industry experience. I also wanted to help the band in other ways besides guitar, probably born out of my insecurity at being the weakest link. I wanted to be a valuable member of the band, so I stepped up to running the website, and I also started editing videos and uploading them to our social media and our YouTube.
Austin, Santa wants to play some metal.
That's right, the footage you're seeing on screen is my first YouTube channel, and you can see my quite rudimentary editing skills at the time and the fact that I was using an absolute potato for a camera.
There's a mustache on your ass. But that's not the first time that's happened.
Somebody had a mustache ride.
By the way, y'all see how skinny I was back then? That starving artist thing is real. Your boy has been eating and lifting since those days. Anyway, over the next couple of years, the band just kept rising. Our music was getting spun on radio stations, and not just our local one during the locals only segment. We were being programmed in prime time on multiple radio stations in the Southeast.
Yeah, man, I like those guys a lot. Soul tonight. They'll be opening this show upstairs in the concert club, 82 millimeter downstairs, before and after the show.
We got to open for bands like Taproot, Nonpoint, Foxy Shazam, Fuel, and several others. Now, at this point, the story's getting kind of long and I haven't gotten to the point yet, so maybe on another episode, I will tell y'all the story about how I absolutely disgusted this record label guy that came to see us play. Yeah, that's another story, but we were getting attention from labels. No real offers, but we were getting attention. However, with all of this leveling up, we weren't making any money. We would play bigger shows and make less money because we were traveling so much and we were trying to break into new markets that hadn't heard of us. And me and Austin, we knew the game. We were willing to make those sacrifices to chase our dreams. We were willing to live in our cars if we had to. But our singer was not. Because even as things were happening for us, he could see that it was going to take more years, more grinding, more travel to ever get to the point where we would make money. And once he started thinking about his family, he was out. I really don't think he liked the club scene much either. He didn't drink. He wasn't a partier. He just wanted to create music in the studio. He didn't want to be in a dirty touring rock and roll band. And that's actually what he wound up doing. He wound up producing other people's music. And so, just like that, Soul was done. A man gave us his blessing to continue on with the Soul name without him, but he was the singer. None of us could sing as good as he could, and we couldn't do it without him. Me and Austin talked about it, and we were spoiled by being in this band together. Neither one of us wanted to go back to being in a garage band. I had a taste of playing with real killers and seeing opportunities on the horizon. I had no interest in going back to a local band that plays cumbersome covers or whatever. I decided I'm not going to join another band just to check the box of I'm in a band like I had done in the past. I decided I would only join another band if they were as good or had the potential to be as good as Soul was. Well, not living in a major market, that turned into several years of just not playing in bands anymore. I would take the occasional solo acoustic gig at a restaurant or hired gun work in a studio or touring shows that came through here, but it was sparse. But then one year, a local charity festival organizer called me up and wanted to know if we could get the band back together to play. Well, I couldn't get Soul back together because our singer had moved away to chase his dreams of working in a studio and starting a family, but I could get 3/4 of us back together. So I called my boy Austin and Kyle, and not for chasing the dream, just for a good cause and to have fun, we got the band back together, and it's become an annual tradition for us, a reason for us to get back together, and it's the highlight of my year. And so, of course, I was excited for this year as well, but given all the recent assassinations and assassination attempts, I was pretty worried about the political climate. Because you see, this is a local festival in the South. It's a bike rally. Its origins began in 2002 to commemorate the anniversary of 9/11. You get where I'm coming from here? But I gotta say, my fears were unfounded, and there's a valuable lesson there. I've been worried about division in my country for a long time, but I don't ever remember it being this bad. I cannot recall a time where large swaths of the population view the mainstream political parties as threats to the very existence of the republic. But none of that was present at the show. The guy that books the bands for the event is a proud and vocal MAGA supporter. He knows me. He knows that I hate all politicians, including his favorite one. And he booked me anyway, and he thanked me for being there. And some of the other bands, well, these are artists we're talking about. Some of these guys are full-on tanky commies. And they know me too. They know that I don't like being told what to do, and to say that I'm skeptical of governments would be quite the understatement. I've always felt insecure around politically minded people because I've always felt politically homeless. But even though they know that about me, they treated me like a valuable part of the community and a peer. And like I said, this is a bike rally, so it wasn't just the organizers and the musicians. All the regional motorcycle clubs were also present and participating. Believe me, the Christian Motorcyclists Association and the Iron Cross, they have very different lifestyles and life philosophies, and yet they came together to work on this event and raise this money. There were the black motorcycle clubs, there were the veteran motorcycle clubs, there were the beatnik ones. All the diverse motorcycle clubs from around the region were here. And the audience was full of course, bikers, but also hippies and yuppies and queer people and rednecks. The bands ranged from roots and folk acts to alternative. My band was stoner metal. The headliners were country, and everybody had a great time. Everyone was cool. And that is such a simple sentence, and I took it for granted. Until this weekend. So let me say that sentence again. Everyone was cool. Sometimes life doesn't match the internet and the news. Now, I think it's critically important to recognize that some people's life does match the internet and the news. People are being persecuted over politics and identity. But most people are just trying to live their lives, and the news does not report on that. And if you support a local cause, those people will come and help you voluntarily without asking for recognition, especially if you make it fun, because music and food bring people together. So while I can't say that this has changed my mind about my pessimism over the direction that the country's been going since my college years, or the cliff it's heading towards now, I can say that when the Roman Empire fell, it wasn't the apocalypse. There were farmers outside of the city that just kept on farming, and they kept on helping out in their local community. For them, only the faces on the coins changed. And I hope that whatever your version of farming is, you can keep on doing it. And I hope that you also will find in your local communities people that are willing to help, even if they're a lot different from each other. Hell, especially if they're a lot different from each other. But most importantly, read philosophy, listen to metal. I love you. God bless you, Ozzy. Thank you.